Right, welcome to Showman the Money Rugby League TV. It's me and Jimmy today. We're actually starting a new show ourselves, the Champ Review. We're both deep in the Champ, got a few players, love watching it. We were at the York game at the weekend. I think we're both very passionate about it, so we thought, let's do a show and talk about it. So we'll start at the start of the week. The first game was Whitehaven v Newcastle. Whitehaven 40, Newcastle 24. What's your thoughts on that, Jim?
Probably expected. I think Newcastle.
Expected.
Yeah.
Big call that.
Maybe not
on the scoreline.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, it was probably a bit more flattering than I'd thought. But yeah, Newcastle have obviously had a very tough few weeks, haven't they? With the news breaking about going part time, and obviously players wondering where their future lies, and they've got so much going on off the field. Travelling away to Cumbria last game of the season. And Whitehaven, who've not had a great year themselves, probably wanted to finish with a bit of a flourish. So, yeah, I think both those clubs are going to have a serious challenge next year, aren't they?
Well, I think Whitehaven I think it's just been announced today actually that they're losing Nikhil Williams and Ryan King, probably two of their
standouts.
Probably their big money signings. And I don't think Whitehaven do many big money signings. But they're probably the two there. So they'll have a big job recruiting two people to replace.
Yeah, and it's hard for the Cumbrian clubs and Newcastle and London to try and tempt players and attract players, because it's such a big commitment for part-time players to move their lives so far away from where most of their homes are. So yeah, it'll be really interesting over the next few weeks to see how Newcastle and Whitehaven start to put a team together for next year, and wish them all the best really, because as we've said a few times, next season the Championship looks like it probably could be the most competitive it's been for a very long time.
Well, we said that. Funny, Nix, we said that about this season, but then Lee have gone in
and
spent the lot, and
true.
Not as competitive anymore.
A team could do that again next year. Maybe Toulouse or Fev. Depending on that's us assuming Lee are going up, isn't it?
And they want like IMG and that say for this week actually they've said that proposals getting announced. Newcastle probably another tough loss, but the one thing I will say, the one positive is the young lads. I think it's with what's happened, it's finally give them a chance. So the likes of Alex Donaghy, I think he scored in every game he's been playing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's had a great run to that.
Great run, and I think it's not, I guess, insulting anyone in the past, but I think it's about time they got the chance. These young lads figure out what they've had them there for a while, and they've been in and out. They've not quite been given an extended run. So I think the bad news has actually revealed some good news in that they've got some brilliant young lads that are ready to take that step up.
Yeah, good silver lining that, isn't it? And Newcastle probably get viewed unfairly a little bit because over the last few years, we have had a sizable budget, and there've been a big pull to get young lads to move to the city of Newcastle, one of the best cities in the country, with everything that's going on there. That's in their favour, but it's still not easy. There's a lot of costs go into housing the players and that side of things, so it's not easy for them, and it's going to be probably even harder next year. But like you say, the flip side is they've had these years now to bring the young lads through the academies, and they've got some serious local talent and that's what it's all about, isn't it? The whole point of the expansion is not that these clubs end up signing and paying over the odds for Yorkshire-based or Lancashire-based players. It's so that eventually
they can
next year
supply
could
their
be
own
the year
players.
that, the hard work they've been doing behind the scenes with the younger lads comes through. Yeah.
I'll move on to the Sunday. Two struggling teams, and Widnes v Bradford, and I think Widnes won, didn't they? Probably a bit too much for Bradford. Bradford, tough year, as Mick says, a lot of drama going on. So probably representative of where they're at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I think sure Bradford fans are just thinking about next year and hoping that they can get some good players in to replace a number of them who are moving on. and we'll touch upon it in the transfer section.
Inside the deal, yeah, we've got the big news from yesterday, wasn't it? Yesterday, did it get announced or this morning?
Who?
Big Tom.
Tom,
it's on Twitter now.
That's out there. So
yeah, you give me the eyes then.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, what's that here?
And we'll get into that later. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of Bradford fans happy to see the back of the season. There's positives, young lads who've been given a go. No recognised halfbacks and
Miles, George Flanagan, Junior,
Dave Gibbons, who's done a good job for a couple of games. So, good luck to Mark and Jason and the rest of the recruitment. But definitely trying, and if they can land a few more good signings, then they'll be ready to have a good go next year and challenge for those playoffs at the very least, I think. But fair play to Winners. I'm sure John Keir was
happy to
Winners
change
has
the
been
form.
dropping, but he was probably thinking, right, lads, let's get this
against
one
his
done.
old team. Yeah,
His old
bloody hell, we
team,
missed the big narrative. JK's got to win against his old team. I bet he were happy with that. Yeah,
I'm sure we had him up for that one to finish
the season. Surprisingly, the closest game of the weekend is Fev v Halifax. Yeah. Surprising or not, Jim?
Probably not. I thought it would be a very close game, and it was in the end. Featherstone were looking a couple of tries up for most of it, but I think what that does is I think Fev had a pretty strong team out. I think it shows that probably the most interesting part of the upcoming playoffs. I'm sure most neutrals and certainly Halifax fans will be thinking we can beat them. That could be after all the
big call.
For most of the year, thinking Lee Fev. Now we're actually probably looking at the contest of who gets to play Lee. Unless we're all totally wrong, it's probably going to be that one. I do believe Halifax are, as we prove, consistently the third best in that league. But where Fev are after. Again, psychologically, after thinking, right, it's all coming down to, it's a 2-horse race and all this, and Lee going so far ahead, Halifax are the ones who are actually we can have a go here. And as can others in one-off games, I think it's going to be a great playoffs. We saw York pile points on yesterday. We'll get onto that, but
I think Fev's big challenge. I think the one bit I'll disagree with is I think with not necessarily with what they're spending, but Fev's players. They've got players in there that have been there a couple of years that could be Super League. Obviously, Big Morgan, they've took Toulouse as best players and stuck them back in champ. Everyone thought they'd move up with Toulouse and play in the Super League. So I think Fev's big challenge is going to get them motivated. I think all season they've just set us in that final. Let's give Lee the best go possible and try. Pull off an upset now. Obviously, at one point they were favourites at the very, very start, and Mac's got a big job in making sure they're motivated in these playoff games to even get to that final, because it just seems like they're just plugging along at the moment. I know,
and you could argue that game, neither team had anything to play off in terms of where they finished. Fev know they're going to have home advantage. That was probably Halifax more at stake to give him a scare and say, look, when it comes to it, we can push you.
Yeah.
I still expect Fev will be in that final with Lee, but it's gonna be interesting.
Lee putting the hammer down to Batley. Batley have been on a bit of a tougher run recently, aren't they? I think they exceeded expectations because they've had a brilliant season and they've done really well with what they're spending. You know what I mean? There's news about what they're on. They're not on much and they're doing brilliant. But tough game against Lee. But I guess doesn't everyone have a tough game against? I don't want to.
If Lee were getting presented with a trophy where they Batley again, they know they're not going to go there and win. So I'm sure they've got one eye on the playoffs. So, just the standard Lee home performance. I think we're averaging at winning about 50, and I think pretty much what we did. So
Barrow v London. Barrow, possibly I don't want to say the shocks. There've been quite a few good teams in champ, but definitely again exceeded expectations with Batley. I think they've come up last year. They've come up this year and took champ and given it, haven't they? They've shown them how to give it a go. Got a good squad of lads. Their issue is going to be similar to some others. I think they're losing some big names, aren't they? I think Barrow.
I don't know if they've got Samet wrapped up for another year. That was a big one because there was talk about
him leaving. Wow.
Yeah,
I've missed that one.
I'm sure I saw this week he's extended. And I mean, for me, I'm sure we'll do something on this when Mick's back. Mick will normally do this with us, won't we? So I'm sure we do like Mick with us. But I think for me, Barrow are hands down, and this is regardless of what happens in the playoffs, they're hands down my championship team of the year. I think to get promoted, not make many changes, but to perform so consistently. I think I'm right in saying they've only lost to the top four. Top three.
I don't know.
But I'll check that. But and I'll admit, I thought as the season went on, I was half expecting it to catch up with him a bit, just playing at that higher level week in, week out. Where every game, the vast majority of games are really tough games. For them to keep their level up there, and I know it's a tough away game, but regardless, they've done brilliant on the road. So they got the job done.
Opposite side of the country on the road in London, and London a great informed team as well.
Doing really well, and that secured them a home tie in the playoffs as well, which there were, I know from some of the lads there, that was a massive thing. It can be such a big advantage, as we all know. So cannot give enough raps to Barrett, and I wouldn't be surprised if. We know Lee and Fev have got home games, but I don't think anyone would want to go to Barrow in the playoffs. Of all the places to go, I don't even think Lee would want to go to Barrow in the playoffs.
Especially as it's getting later in that year, that rain kicks in, that's the great equal. I said it yesterday, the great equal, that Barrow rain and if the pitch or whatever. I think Barrow have got some good young lads as well. Shout out
Charlie Elmsley. Got his try yesterday.
Got his first try of the season.
Means he doesn't have to even do the run, so he's quite relieved, I think. But just a well-run club off the field.
I'm sure brilliant. The women of Barrow were sad at that one, Jim.
But they're you throw me there. But no, just brilliant, well-run club off the field, on the field. They're definitely they've made a couple of signings for next year already. They're going to be stronger.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, so I've got it completely wrong then.
I'm sure they want a couple more, but they've managed to get a couple. They got Ben Evans wrapped up early from Bradford. Keeping all the Samet. Greg Worthington going in there.
Samet's a massive one though, isn't it? How good's he been this year?
He can do something ridiculous and cost him a try, but you can bet your bottom dollar he'll make up for it if he does. And
he has been this season, hasn't he? I think he definitely still has the silly mistake, I'd say, in him doing something a bit too much, but more than not this season he's pulled it out of the bag and played amazing. So
I think for every try he's given away, he's probably created two.
Yeah,
he's been on the back of that, so...
I think in the Summer Bash he scored 2 solo tries or set up one and scored a solo try.
Yeah, he literally set up Lewis Roberts for the other team, didn't he? And he passed it to the other player and scored, and then he created 2 and the Batley have got to go there now. Really, that'll be a great game. I'm sure it'll be.
It will be that, yeah.
And you're talking, in a nutshell, the 2 teams who have overperformed this year and done brilliantly well going head to head in that match. I think it's next weekend. Yeah, next weekend. No break for them.
And then final game of the week was York City Knights and Workington Town. We were actually at the game. My thoughts is York were just good on the day. I think they were just brilliant, weren't they? I think they're setting themselves up for the playoffs. I don't know. I think they rested a couple of players during the game. I think Atta's injured. I think Atta's injured, but they played the young winger Dean at centre. Obviously AJ's been playing amazing. Our young lad. I think that, and during the game, Tom Imran got about probably 60 minutes, didn't they? They played a lot. They York could shock a few. I think they could shock a few. They performed. I think they needed that win because they've been up and down the last couple of weeks. I think they needed just a win, just to hit the. I actually had a conversation with AJ, and I was like, I might get in trouble for saying this, but I thought York look, because they don't have the deepest squad. I thought they looked pretty tired. I was like, oh AJ, I think there should be a bit more rest in the game. You should rest a few more of your players. I was saying to AJ, I'm surprised you're not resting more. But he said to me, no, I think we need a big win just to set us up into the playoffs. And judging on what I saw, I think he's completely right. I'll probably have to give him a text and say sorry, AJ, because he's spot on.
Right,
you all. They played amazing. They looked together after the game. They were they looked happy and they looked ready to go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, at Workington, they've had such a tough year, and it goes back.
Really
I've hammered this point, but I felt so sorry for them about the team who wins the League One final
playoffs. Yeah,
they have so little time to recruit, and there's so few players left on the market because so many get sorted early. It was always going to be a tough year. Then added in with the financial problems they've had over the last going back 6 weeks now, when the lads had to take the pay cuts.
Lost some players as well from
lost
it,
a couple
didn't they?
As a result, but you can't help but feel sorry for him. But you've got to give him massive raps. It's a bit like West Wales in League One to turn up every week and fight. And they almost went in 2 points down at our time. It was only James Glover wonder try that gave him a bit of breathing space, York. But yeah, well done to the Workington lads and all the staff there and the fans. They had a great following there yesterday, didn't they, at York? They've stuck with
Always do, don't they?
Yeah, so, your heart goes out to Workington. Brilliant effort, and a brilliant effort for the first 40 minutes of that game, and then it just caught up with them in York.
Well, they've got a massive...
Turned it on, opened the floodgates.
I panic for them for next year. They're losing the coach. I think they're losing...
quite a few players.
Yeah. Obviously, Chris, he's been announced that he's leaving. They've got a tough job, especially with the financial issues, which they're very open about. They've been raising money online. They've been doing different, I think, comedy nights, different nights to get as much money into the club as possible. And fair play, they're giving it best they can, but they probably need a year to settle. Get some, maybe bring through some young Cumbrian lads and aim for the year after. Probably get everything right financially, and then go again in
try
future.
And compete next year in another tough League One, but like you said, I think York needed that. It was a perfectly timed fixture for them to score far more points than they scored in any other game this year. Go into the playoffs. They played some beautiful rugby in that second half. Workington were a beaten side, and they were tired. But big shout out. James Glover was absolutely phenomenal, as he's been all year defensively. He's going to be in my championship team of the year. No doubt about that. And there was some great performances all around. Tom Inman played big minutes, played really well.
Shout out Tom. You used James Glover as a wonder try, but I'd have my try of the game as Tom Inman's 2 offloads, got the ball back, saw the gap, rubbed it to himself, took it, hands up. Big Tom were giving it big uns. It were good to see. He's obviously had an up and down year with his own life going on, so it's happy to see him giving it a good strut. Scored a brilliant try, show him forward. It might get himself a thing sorted for next year. Show him forward. Hey, this is what I can do.
Yeah, what he can do. Yeah. And how good was Team B? Fan favourite.
Team B. He's just a fan favourite.
His first spell was awesome, and they can mix it with anyone. We know that. We know Fordy, great coach. He'll know exactly how he wants to play against any team we come up against. They've got Halifax at Halifax next week.
Game of the week.
That is going to be a great game to watch. Is
the one on Premier? Sorry, I shouldn't do this.
I'd like to think they'd be televised, wouldn't you?
You never know, though. There's nothing on it yet, but let's hope that Halifax York game's televised. Even let's get them all televised anyway. But that'll be a great game. Really great game. Halifax York. At one point, it with them two to see who were the third best. York had a bit of a slip off near the middle of the season with some injuries and just a bit of bad running form, plain and simple. So hopefully, I reckon that will be some game.
That. Oh yeah, you would. Same was when we get into these playoffs at every level. They're anyone's. Even Halifax are going favourites. Maybe
Rightly so, rightly deserved.
On the handicap, maybe a try, maybe 2 tries, but you only need a couple of mistakes, a couple of referee decisions, and that Batley Barrow game, anyone can win that, and anyone can win that game.
Batley Barrow, brilliant game. Wow, come on, let's get them on TV, Premier, whoever. Let's get it televised. Let's get watching, because they're 2 great games. Yeah. All four will be going for it, because I think all 4 want to make it as far as they can in the playoff. I don't think there's any.
No doubt about that.
You know what I mean? I don't think there's any. We're happy where we're at. I think both are going to. All 4 are going to the top, as high through the playoffs they can get, and they'll all be great games. There's some amazing players in every team as well. Some future Super League players, I think, in probably every team. So
that definitely,
watching, see some players of the future in your clubs, because there'll be players from all them clubs signing at Super Leagues and at Super League teams in the year to come.
Yeah, definitely. And it's okay. I'd like to see Barrow do it. No disrespect to Batley, I'm a big fan of Batley and Lingard and everything they do. But I would like to see Lee have to play Barrow. And in that other game, if that's who's fighting for a chance against Fair Halifax, have shown they can mix it with him. But again, if York win that game, York can mix it with Fev. So, yeah, the playoffs are set up wonderfully. Looking forward to it.
Brilliant. That's the first champ review. I think independent champ review, the J&J champ review, JJ review. It's Joe and Jimmy time. Thank you very much, and see you on the next show.